Hey, folks, getting ready to do another Friday Night Live here. It's May 31st, last I checked. Yep. And man, we've had a good spring. We have had plenty of rain, but not too much for the most part. Uh, the grass has been growing wonderfully. It's been great for the gardens. The only issues I've noticed are with some of my newer consulting folks with brand new raised beds and their soil mixes and everything. We're having a lot of nutrient washout. So we've been addressing that, throwing some worm castings in there, some compost tea, and just trying to kind of get their soil awake and alive and working for them. When we have a whole lot of rain, that can kind of wash things out. But we're not too hot yet for the most part, which has been nice. Lots of breeze. So I've been grateful for it. I feel like I've been able to get more done and not be walloped by the heat just yet. So let me hit a few announcements first. Actually, more than a few. That might actually be the bulk of things. But first of all, try to go in order here. We've got open house on Sunday. So tomorrow or day after tomorrow, here in Knoxville, we're going to have our quarterly open house. That'll be from noon until 4 p.m. If you're catching this before then and you would like to come out, just email me, strongrootsresources at gmail.com. I do have the announcement kind of all over the place. So it's in, it's on the mailing list. It's in most of the Telegram groups. I think I'll make sure I've pasted it into my Telegram group. But we've already got, last check, 15, 16 people RSVP'd. So we tend to go anywhere from about 10 to 25 people. So we'll be happy to have you. First couple of hours, we do a homestead tour, show the systems, show the sheep, point out some things along the way. And then the second 2 hours will be food, fellowship, bartering, trading, that sort of thing, if folks want to do that. And we'll have snacks here and plenty of refreshments for folks. So give me a holler if you'd like to come out. Also, coming up in June, June has gotten rather busy for me in terms of going out teaching and doing the foraging classes, which is great. I don't yet have a foraging class here on the property scheduled for June, but I am going to get one on the calendar. But in the meantime, I'm going to be doing one at the Haven Earth Open House on June 22nd. That's going to be in Old Fort, Tennessee, kind of down towards the Cleveland, Chattanooga area. And we'll get, I think they're still working on getting their flyer up, but I'll get that shared across. And I'm also going to be speaking, I don't think it's a foraging class, but I'm doing kind of a little speaking, kind of a homesteading 101 for the Citizen United group in Athens on June 28th. And just confirmed earlier today, on June 27th, I'm going to be doing a foraging class at a homestead in Rogersville, Tennessee. And that lady is still putting together a flyer, so I'll get that shared across as well. So lots of opportunities to hit classes up this month if you're on the East Tennessee side of things. And I think that's it. I think that's it for now in terms of the general announcements. So after I talked to you guys last Friday, I was looking at doing the native plant propagation class the following day, so Saturday, and it was wonderful. It was well worth my time, very thorough. I had an opportunity to get a couple of my questions answered that I had gotten various internet answers many times over. So I spoke with John Mannion. He was the instructor out there. John is part of the education side of things for Overhill Gardens, which is probably at this point the largest exclusive native plant nursery in East Tennessee. They are in Von Orr, Tennessee, and I'm ashamed to say I haven't made it down to visit with them yet, but I'm planning to when I go down to the Haven Earth Trade School, because I'm literally going to have to drive past them. So I'm going to make a point to visit. And John's a wonderful teacher. He's a lot of fun, real easygoing, very relaxed class. So right now, this time of year, if you want to propagate softwood, also called new wood cuttings, off of your woody shrubs and your woody perennials, you can do that. I'm not going to go into a complete how-to right now, because I'm going to do a separate video on that. But basically, yes, if you have any kind of woody perennial plant, this doesn't really count for your fruit trees, but you can do this with your fruit shrubs. You can take your cuttings, you can put them in a soil medium, you can clip off all but a couple of leaves, and even the leaves that remain, cut them in half as well. Add a little bit of rooting hormone, clip it off right before the a node, so like a leaf node. Make your cutting at a 45-degree angle right below that. Dip it in some rooting hormone. Put you use you a pencil and make you a hole in your potting mix. Don't just jam it in there; you'll knock all your rooting hormone off. Put your cutting in there, kind of press everything in. Make sure your potting mix is moist to begin with, because you actually don't want to water it for a few days afterwards. You put them somewhere out of direct sunlight. They don't need to be baking in the sun, and then monitor. If you can bottom water, it's even better. So if you can put them in like an old bus pan or something like that, that's what I use for mine, and just pour water in the bottom so it'll just wick up. Then that's that's kind of your best way to water things. Guys, I just realized that I forgot to tell anybody that we're doing the live over in the group. So I'm going to do that real quick. And I'll let folks go to YouTube and find the link themselves, because I plain old... Wait a minute. There's my... is that a link? No. Not for that one. I'll let folks find their way over here. I'm sure if they're anything like me, they're making good use of plenty of daylight still. So I'm probably going to keep this one a little bit short, because I've actually got a buddy who needs me to help him move after I wrap this up. So anyway, yeah, bottom water your cutting, and it should get to work on rooting. None of this stuff is foolproof. There's always, always chance it won't take for various reasons. But most of us, can get many cuttings off of even a small shrub. Like I could do this with my blueberries right now, and I probably will. I could do it with my hibiscus. Thank you. Remembered that word. So it's a practically free way to make a lot of plants. And that's how, places like Overhill, that's how they propagate most stuff. They get a hold of things from various locations through various means. And, they've got people that are dedicated exclusively to propagating off of cuttings, propagating off of seed, and all that sort of thing. So it was a really good class, and I'm going to do a full, how-to video as soon as I can work that in. Thank you, Pippin, for posting a link over to Tim's group as well. I think I managed to put it on Facebook yesterday, and then I just went on about my day, and it fell off the radar. So it's been a busy week. I had 3 full days of offsite work. One with kind of one of my ongoing clients where I'm rehabilitating an entire property, and then some light maintenance work and planting and mulching and stuff for another one of my kind of neighborhood clients, who is who is a great lady and wonderful to work with. So I try to help her out whenever I can. But that had me taking a good chunk of the last 3 days. In the meantime, um, the sheep have had actually 2 paddock moves since last Friday. We're moving about every 3 to 4 days right now, even in the big paddocks. Uh, there's a lot for them to eat, but I also want to kind of keep them moving. So I'm leaving a lot of stuff behind. I'm leaving a lot of opportunity for seed heads to disperse of things that I want to disperse. So the grasses, and then we're going behind and we're cutting stuff down that we don't want. So there's 2 paddocks right now where I'm going to get with Dad and see if he would like to just run the bush hog, because it's mostly things like tree of heaven and um, I forget some of the names of some of these pasture weeds that we don't want, but it's stuff that I know that they don't eat. So we follow behind them and cut that stuff back, so it doesn't have as much ability to complete its life cycle. And it's not even really stuff that serve the pollinators. It's just purely invasive things that don't offer much of anything to anyone, as far as I can tell. So that stuff comes down. So this last sheep move was I had to cover a little bit of distance, so I had to uh, kind of skip, not a huge area, not but let's say uh, about 250 feet, I think 250 feet, 300 feet that I had to have them follow me. And that's always a little bit sketchy when the sheep are just out and I'm just trusting that they are going to follow me and that Primrose is going to follow me to where we need to go. Of course, I've got the almighty snack bucket, the red sweet feed bucket. They know that bucket means the best snack in the world. So we use that to our advantage. So we got moved to the paddock with relatively little fuss. So in this case, I did decide to make a couple of fence blockades where I knew they might want to hang a right and go to an area that I did not want them in, and I didn't want them to reverse back down the driveway for sure. So I made kind of a fence blockade there. So I just put in a couple of step-in posts, zigzag some fence between it, and generally that is enough of a visual deterrent to them that they will kind of be funneled in the way I want them to go. A couple of them did divert to an old paddock for a few minutes, but I've learned as long as I don't panic and I just keep shaking the food bucket, keep walking further into the new paddock. So as the bulk of the group follows me further, the others want to be with the group. So they will usually kind of root back up again. And there were 2 that were just standing there at the open gate to the paddock, just looking at me. It was one of the older lambs and its mother, and I don't know what their deal was, why they didn't want to come in. So I just kind of I left the snack bucket in there and just kind of went wide, like I was going to go behind them, and then they decided to come on in. So I don't know what's going on with sheep brain, but we got everybody in here, and we'll have to do the next move will kind of be similar, but we won't be on the driveway, which always makes me a little less wary. There's just something about, we're not all that close to the road, but I just feel better having them away from the driveway while I'm still kind of relatively new to running sheep. So they're in a paddock right now that it has a lot of shade. It has a lot of different things to browse. So they seem to be pretty content. And I'm kind of thinking they'll probably get moved again, maybe Sunday morning. Maybe I'll do it before our gathering. I'm just going to kind of wait and see a little bit. They've been loafing a lot. Loafing apparently is the proper term for resting. But in my mind, if they're laying down, they're content. They're full. They have what they need. They're comfortable in the shade. So they're all kind of laying down together for a little while, and then they're up again browsing and stuff. So as far as I can tell, they're doing good. I am, starting to be a little more watchful for any signs of illness since we are warmer, in case we are going to have any more issues with parasites. We're hoping we addressed that last year. I'm hoping that the frequent moves are helping with that as well. But we do have to kind of keep an eye out. So I think it was last Friday I told you guys that I had the youngest rabbits, the ones that are the grow out, so the ones that'll become meals for Trip, in their tractor. So I think I'm remembering this right, because that was Friday night, and we had a thunderstorm that night. And I'm not sure if it was a thunderstorm or what exactly went wrong, but somehow all of those rabbits got out. Looking back on it, there are sections in the top that they could fit through, but it never occurred to me that they may try to climb. Plus, it would be kind of in the center. So unless they made some kind of like rabbit ladder or something, I'm not exactly sure what happened. But I got up Saturday morning and all the rabbits were out. I saw one of them sitting over by the truck. And since then, I've been able to capture all but one. There's a little black rabbit. It's actually the smallest one, and it is still out and still evading me. I caught two by hand. I was just able to kind of corner them and pick them up. The others I caught by putting food in a dog kennel, tying a string to the door, and standing back and waiting until it went in, and I pulled the string. This final rabbit is too small, and he can fit through the gaps. So I've switched to a cat, well, just a smaller carrier. It's like a cat carrier. And he goes in there and he eats, and I'm never I just don't have time just to sit there and monitor. So I may try again tomorrow, but frankly, what I did not want, because they all went underneath the shed. What I didn't want was a colony of rabbits happening under my shed outside of my control. So now that there's just one out, I'm a little less aggravated. I'm also kind of waiting, so maybe it's just a little bit bigger. It might be easier to catch. It's still pretty tame. I mean, he comes up to me, and as soon as I bend over to pick him up, he runs off. And I'm just not going to chase the rabbit around. So that's kind of been a side project this whole week, is catching rabbits from time to time. I caught two by hand, and then the rest just kind of I managed to capture with the kennel trick. So what I ended up doing was putting the two big male rabbits. I've got two tractors. I put them into the tractor with the larger gaps, and I am relatively certain that the tractor they came out of, they can't squeeze out of. But for now, I just put them back in with their moms. So they're just back in the hutch, and I will sort that out for certain in a couple of days when I'm not trying to get ready for the open house and all that kind of stuff. It's just kind of like, y'all go back in your hutch. I know you're not getting out of there, and we'll handle it from there. They're just they're crafty little guys, that's for sure. They really are. On the garden and food forest front, everything is just absolutely going bananas in terms of growth. Everything looks good. I did a little bit of extra top dressing for some of the tomatoes of some worm castings and rabbit compost. They're just it's just been such good weather. I'm just so happy with it. Now that I've got the rabbits, I'm kind of extra motivated to pull weeds. This worked out really well. I'm extra motivated to pull weeds because that's free rabbit food. So I pull some weeds every night or every afternoon, give it to the rabbits and the chickens. And, they're just doing their thing and helping me close that loop of fertility and building the soil. And then for a good portion of this afternoon, I went down to a lower portion of the food forest that still needed the cardboard treatment. So it's been getting the cardboard and leaf treatment. So I've thrown down some compost directly on the soil. I'm throwing the cardboard over that, and in this case, I'm throwing leaves on top. I've got wood chips too, but I've got all these bag leaves that I want to get out and make them go away because I don't like having bags of leaves stacked up. Compost, cardboard, leaves slash carbon, and as long as I have extra cardboard, I just kind of wait until I've got a decent little pile of it and just start laying it out. I actually got a nice arrangement with the lady who runs my sheep lady, Marcy. She gets a lot of cardboard because of the farmers bringing her, or the processor and the farmers bringing all the frozen meat packed up from their whenever they do a harvest. And so she has lots and lots of nice, not only nice cardboard, but it's all pretty uniform, so it makes it easier for me to lay out. So just been kind of working on that whenever I've got it. And then when I get a nice amount of like a trailer's worth for me, that'll go onto a job site. But when I just have little bits here and there, it just goes into the food forest. And it is my goal by fall that no portion of this food forest will need to see a lawnmower for any reason. And I think we'll probably be able to get there since I've worked out the cardboard pickup a time or two a month with Marcy. That's been really nice. That's probably been one of the best things about having more space is I've been able to work out wood chip drops, leaf drops, and cardboard, and being able to pick up things like the slats from the. So here's a nice tip. So at your landscaping companies, your landscape supplier places. So around here we have Site One. Site One's a national company. They have lots of branches. When they get their big trucks full of plants, there are big 2x2 slats. Some of them they're probably I think they're about 8 feet long. Sometimes they're longer, maybe even 10 feet. Slats that what it is it's a 2x4 that they ripped in half for some crazy reason. And that's what's used to hold the plant carts that are in that truck or the racking. So for each set of racking, they've got all these slats. Well, they just pull those out and they just throw them down on the ground. So if you are near a landscape supplier that receives shipments like that in 18-wheelers, find out where the loading dock is, get permission. You will have all the 2x2s you could ever use. And you can build a lot of stuff with 2x2s. You can build a lot of stuff. It'd probably be great for light duty mobile animal shelters and things like that. So I've been kind of gathering those up whenever I have time to stop. So I tell you, picking up free materials could almost be a full-time job for me right now. So I fit it in when I can, but you guys know how it is. Only so many hours in a day. But that is worth something to look into. Check in with your suppliers. Same for if they've got trailers that need cleaned out from the pine straw and the wheat straw, they got to pay a guy to do that, and they have to take inventory of it because I think they get a certain amount of refund for bales that are busted or whatever. So see if that's something worth following up with. You might be able to get a hold of a decent amount of all sorts of useful materials that way. Otherwise, yeah, like I was saying, I think a tangent there for a minute, but the gardens are really booming. Everything in the food forest looks great. The only thing that hasn't been real super happy, I was given some blackberries for free from a fella. He actually offered them to one of my customers, and I went out there and helped her dig them up. Blackberries are not crazy about being transplanted this time of year. So this is a few weeks ago. And even though I pruned them way back, there's only one plant out of 4 that's doing okay. I don't know if they're necessarily dead. They may just be coming back from the roots, but all the foliage came off, even though I trimmed them way down. So we'll see if they revive, but, and I have been keeping them watered, but that's just something about, brambles coming out of the ground once it's hot. They're just not so happy. The ones I have transplanted in the wintertime have always done well. I've transplanted a bunch of wineberry. It's like a raspberry, and they've done great. So uh, we've got a couple that I think may pull through, but I may end up replacing them as well, or I'll propagate some cuttings. So also, I forgot to mention, but my propagation class came with a wonderful book on native plant propagation that was self-published. Oh, let me pull it out here so I can give this lady proper credit. So this book is Native Plant Propagation, the 5th edition, by Jan Midgley. And that's going to be, let me put this in the notes real quick. MIDGLEY, Jan 123 at Gmail. I don't know why my keyboard's being so slow. .com. And she's self-published this book, and it's goodbye pen, whatever. I didn't need you. Like I said, spiral bound. I got this through Overhill Gardens, so this is relevant to the Southeast for the most part. I'm sure there's probably gonna be a little bit of crossover if you get over into the Midwest a little bit, or Ohio River Valley, or even a little further north. Very thorough. Not much of fluff, but a little bit of like anecdotal notes as well, which is helpful from from various people. So this includes seed saving and all sorts of stuff. So this is going to probably become quite the Bible for me for this kind of propagation. So if that's something, if you're thinking about doing more of that, or maybe even doing a small nursery in your area, it's probably it might be easier just to contact Overhill Gardens. They have Facebook page and all that kind of good stuff. They're good folks. They'll help you out. I think that book was $30. You guarantee I'm going to get more than $30 of value out of that. So when I was looking at propagation, there was so much. There's so many variables between when you do hardwood versus softwood. So as far as I was able to gather from John, in the warm weather, when the plant is putting out new growth but is not yet flowering, even if it's flowering, you can still take new growth cuttings and propagate. If it is now if it is actively into the point of time where it is setting seed, it is not as you may not have as much success rooting cuttings at that point. So this is a time where it might make more sense to gather seed if it is a plant that will grow true from seed, like most shrubs will. So hardwood cuttings, this is more of like a wintertime, very early spring thing as a general rule. But again, this does not apply to everything. So it's really plant specific, and it's, kind of depends on what your conditions are like there locally too. So I found that class was the highlight of my week. So I'm gonna do the video soon so I can get that kind of relayed to you guys, and also because it helps me remember. And they gave us a bunch of extra stuff, so we actually rooted cuttings in the class. We didn't just sit there and listen to a PowerPoint. Did it in class. Messed around with some seeds as well. So here's another important point. If you are working with seed, the smaller the seed, again, generally speaking, it's not meant to be buried real deep. If you think about it, when a plant disperses a little bit of seed, tiny seeds, those seeds just kind of rest on the ground, and then maybe they get covered with a little bit of leaf duff or a little bit of, cut grass or something, depending on where it is, but they're not really buried. So smaller seeds, you really just want to press on top of the soil. Larger seeds, that's when you need to know how deep they're getting buried. You think about the way, squirrels plant oak trees and whatnot for us. They bury those nuts to store them, and they, put them a couple inches under the soil. So that's something to kind of take into account too, where you can observe what does nature do. Okay, can I emulate that? And it kind of works out well that way. The other thing I wanted to talk about today, you ever have one of those days when all your shit breaks? Kind of been having one of those days. So this lawnmower that I picked up that doesn't actually mow because the deck's off of it, this machine that I picked up just for, paid $250 off a marketplace just to hook up my little trailer and pull my gear around for setting up the sheep fence. That's all I really needed it for. All of a sudden this morning didn't want to start. It's got a brand new battery in it. And so I jumped the battery and I went and I did my fencing stuff and went to go hop back on it and it wouldn't start. And I've been driving it for a while at, full engine speed. So I kind of figured it should have charged it back up again, but it didn't. And so earlier today, Dad came out and he showed me some testing techniques. And for whatever reason, when the engine's running, it's not charging the battery. We kind of tracked it down to I think Dad called it the stator. So kind of like sort of like an alternator, more or less, not working. And apparently it's a real butthole to replace it. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do. I can put a battery tender on it. I could do that. I might do that for a little while. So I can keep using it throughout the season. It's got a brand new battery, which is kind of a bummer. But I guess I'll see what it. I'll probably pull some YouTube videos and see what all is involved in replacing this thing, since we kind of tracked it down by testing at different points. It's that's kind of frustrating, and it's had leaky back tire. And I finally found a hole in the sidewall and I patched it and it's not really holding. So I'm still airing up tires every time I go to use it, which is also aggravating. And sometimes the tire leaks down so fast that I carry my little air compressor battery charger pack with me when I'm tooling around the farm so I can get it back up to the house whenever I'm done. And Dad told me, he said, hey, I've got some tires, or actually some wheels and tires that are still holding air on a otherwise dead mower up on the barn. I think they're the same size. Pull them off and swap them out. Well, I went to do that. That was the first thing I decided to do this morning. And my axles are weird. It's got this little squared off section and they're not compatible. And I could swap the tires off the rims, but that's just, I wasn't ready to do that. Dad has a tire changer and all that good stuff, but God, guys, I just hate doing stuff like that. So I was like, whatever, I'm just going to set this aside for now. I'm not going to worry about this too much. I can do the sheep stuff without it. I push stuff around in the wheelbarrow. It's not the end of the world. It's mostly a convenience thing. And really on that mower, which if you guys remember from my stories before, the transmission is reversed. So you have to pull the pedal towards you to go forwards. So I tied a rope to it and I pull the rope and basically flex my bicep as I ride around. It's kind of a hysterical way of operating the thing. In addition to all that, leaky tires, weird transmission, battery doesn't charge anymore. I might just part the dang thing out. I don't really know yet. It is, even at full speed, I'm actually just as fast pushing this stuff in a wheelbarrow. I get a lot of steps in, that's for sure. Almost 9 miles yesterday between the mulch job I did and then taking up sheep fence yesterday. So we'll see. And it doesn't have shit for traction either. I'm sorry for my language tonight, guys. I'm a little tired and I've kind of been a little frustrated, but it spins out in several places on the driveway where it's steep in the gravel. It spins. I had to pull it out of a field a couple of days ago with the Jeep because it got hung up. I mean, it was my fault. Tried to go somewhere I really shouldn't have. I got hung up in so many briars, it just couldn't get any traction. So I had to go down and pull it out with the Jeep. So I don't know. You guys let me know what you think later. If you watch this later, if I should just part this turd out or try to fix it. I've got $250 in it. So it's got a good engine. It's got a Briggs and Stratton engine in it. But a lot of other things about it are just, just weird. I mean, I'm going to keep the battery. That's for sure. So we'll see. I don't really want to work on it, to be honest. I really got too many other things that are taking up my attention right now. So there was the mower fun today. There was the mower. And then kind of getting things spruced up around here for our gathering on Sunday. So I was going to do some weed eating. And I didn't really need to run my big weed eater for it. So I grabbed the DeWalt weed eater and worked for about 10 minutes and then went and took a break and then went back out to work some more. And it wouldn't go. Checked the battery was fine. Checked the terminals, checked all that stuff, cleaned all that. That was fine. It would just barely move the trimmer head, then it'd stop. And so I sat down on YouTube again, started looking that up. And apparently when that happens, most of the time it is I think they call it the control board, but basically it's an electronic issue. It's not a moving parts issue. And I told Angel, I was like, we haven't had that thing very long. And they've got a 3-year warranty on them. And the warranty, she went and pulled it up. We bought it in May of 2021. I may call DeWalt anyhow and see if I can have anything done about that. This is, I can honestly say, this tool has not been abused. I haven't even taken it on that many jobs. We mostly got it for up here. And I mean, I have used it on jobs for sure where I actually wanted something less powerful when I needed to weed eat very, very, very carefully around certain things, and didn't want to take my big beast of a steel out there. So yeah, it's like I didn't want to ask the question of what next because that is just asking for it around here. But I just looked around and I was like, okay, I'm already kind of tired of trying to fix stuff. So the mower's a turd, the weed eater's a turd. But fortunately, all of it can be worked around. And I'll make a quick howdy to folks that stopped in tonight. One step closer. Thank you so much for stopping in. You've been having a hell of a time. Hope things are going all right for y'all. Getting a little bit better. Thank you, Digger, for dropping in. And Pippin Ice is here. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you guys hanging out for a little bit. We've got, let me see here. Well, no, I guess I don't. I was thinking that I might have a workaround for the mower thing, but that wouldn't really resolve the issue because it's not really an engine issue; it's a charging issue. I'm gonna go when I am a little less feel like I've overstacked myself again. We'll sit down and look at YouTube and see what it takes to fix. Dad says you have to pull the flywheel off and something else, and it's just I kind of got to make the what do we call it, the cost benefit analysis happen on that. So I mean it stings because I bought the dang thing. I don't even think I've had it a month, and it's also kind of not turned out to be as good of a tool as I was hoping it would be. But crap happens. Jeremy had roof damage and a dishwasher crapped out in the same week. Time to overadapt. There we go, guys. Adapt and overcome. I'm going to overadapt. That's for sure. I mean, you guys know the drill. It's just things happen like that. Aggravations can stack up. You get to decide how you're going to react to it. I've said a few choice words today, but no tools were thrown. And it wasn't taken out on any human who didn't deserve it. And I will say, in my 40s now, getting ready to be 41 next month, that I am able to reset myself much quicker and not get nearly as bothered when this kind of stuff happens as I used to. I guess because I find, one, I feel like I know more and I have more options available to me to fix stuff, and also I'm able to keep things in perspective much better. So this kind of stuff is aggravating, but it's not really a high stressor at all. So I think that's kind of the bulk of what I wanted to cover tonight. So thank you guys for stopping in. Um, keep an eye out on the group and all that good stuff. I've got, if you're not in the Telegram group, I've got it. I've got the invite link in the description. I've got a if you're looking for comfrey roots, I can hook you up with that. Look for that link in the description. You can get your comfrey roots and get your get some serious fertility going on your land, as well as a way to feed your animals, accelerate your compost, and do all kinds of cool stuff. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. I hope you have an excellent Friday evening and an excellent weekend, and we'll talk to y'all in a week.